Yes. Here.
Baker.
Here.
Stoll.
Here.
Solomon.
Here.
Duffy.
Here.
Zadchuk.
Here.
And Enquist. Here.
Approval of the minutes as published.
I have some changes.
Okay.
Do I want to do that before we make a motion? On the minutes as published?
Yeah, make a motion first.
I'll make that motion to approve. I'll second.
Okay, go ahead, Jeff.
Changes on the minutes on page 4. It has mention of the pilot program, and it has everybody's comments, with the exception of Pat Duffy and myself that spoke on the marina portion of it. It has all one side. Does not have any other reasoning.
So what do you want to change, Jeff?
I want to put the comments that Pat Duffy talked about on the marina and my comments in on those.
So you want to verbatim?
I don't care if they're verbatim, but at least want the argument. You have all one side argument with nothing said whatsoever on the other.
Okay, so what lines are you talking about?
The entire thing.
No, page 4, what line?
Page 4, from page 1, line 1 to line 36.
John, as I read this, what I see is that no board members' comments are listed here. It looks like staff and citizens that commented.
Correct, that's his point.
That's
That's my point.
John and I
Yeah.
made
If-
at least provided.
You want it on the record, the
insight.
ruckus?
Well, wait a
No,
second.
no,
Sure.
just the
No,
idea that
you're
the
acting
board
like a paper.
responded
Right.
to the
Sure.
citizens' opinion, that's all.
If we were to list just our side and have no opinions on the other side, would they be a little bit upset?
Sure.
Okay, I mean, so at least if somebody's reading these minutes, they ought to be able to find out what are they doing here? What's the reasoning behind it? And that was all part of that discussion.
Okay, so you're talking about page 4 where the numbers are at the top. It's actually page 3 of the minutes.
Well, it starts at page 3 and it goes all the way through. Everything on
Page 4
that
on the
pilot
Zoom.
program.
Page 4 on the Zoom.
On
yeah,
item
page 3 in
number,
the minutes.
item number 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I'll put your comments in there verbatim.
And Duffy's.
I have a tendency to ramble, you could summarize.
Well, you can summarize both of them, but at least I want those arguments put in there so they have.
Duffy responded.
And
Okay, now does anybody else
We're going
want
back to
theirs in there?
negotiation.
As long as I'm listening
are
to the
great.
tape.
I think there should be a general overview of what the discussion was.
Okay, I was told not to do that. I was told not to do he said, she said.
We're not asking for he said, she said. If there were trustees that were making points, just like people from the audience make points.
Janelle,
you
I can do it.
it would,
I can do it.
a
It's
general
not a big deal.
summarization of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And because of that, I can't approve the minutes.
Well, what I was gonna
because
say
know
was,
it in.
so we'll table the minutes until we receive them at
Next
the
time.
next meeting, review them for their
Next time.
changes and
Good.
that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're agree to table?
Need a motion?
Need a
Second.
motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Comments and correspondence. Any correspondence we'd be aware of?
Yes, sir, we have a number of pieces, one of which I've previously made you all aware of. This is from the State Department of Natural Resources. Dear Zeke, please inform me that your stewardship application for the waterfront Park Beach expansion has been tentatively selected to receive a grant in the amount of $489,285. This letter represents a preliminary selection of your project for funding. This award is contingent on the success and remaining required evaluation of each project. The amount may change as we complete reviews and finalize eligible transaction costs. Without going into the furtherance of this, essentially there are some hurdles we're going to have to go through. Approval on projects over $250,000 in joint finance, a DNR, and it needs a secretary's signature. It will most likely be somewhere in the Thanksgiving time frame that we're able to obtain the necessary approvals. Spoke to Chris about this today.
Okay.
So there's that item.
Next.
In your packets, you received a couple of letters. One from Mr. Bob Kupfer of 10771 Pleasant Court, expressing his displeasure at the pilot. He goes on to make a number of assertions in there. Would you like me to read that, sir?
No.
Okay.
It's in the letter.
All right, another one, a letter of request that you all have previously honored from the Door County Humane Society. They give you their intake and care numbers as a part of that report form, approximately 411 animals. Received, they had some adoptions going out the other way, so good job at the Humane Society requesting another $1,000, as was given to them last year, for our budget process. And then you also have the incident report form, from the Sheriff's Department.
Any questions about any correspondence?
There was, I have one other correspondence that I received, and I don't know if that goes under the board or a different Pat.
Was it distributed to the board?
It was distributed to Patrick, myself, and you, and Zeke, from Julie.
It was an email.
Oh,
Yeah, lots of correspondence.
It was not to the board, it was to members, 3 members of the board.
And then there was an email asking about putting it on an agenda. Does that get referenced to the,
I think you'll find it'll be taken care of later in the evening.
okay?
If you want to send something to the board, you send it to the Board of Trustees for correspondence included in the package. If you just do an email between a couple of board members, that's not correspondence at the board level.
Okay, what is this guy doing here? Did he send that to the board, or did he send it to the administrator?
Yes, though, if they're addressed to me, essentially care of me to the board, I'll hand them over to you guys. The way that I read hers was addressed to us. I don't know if it would be an issue to read.
That's fine.
Yeah.
The whole
doesn't matter,
point
it'll
was,
get talked about.
If it gets talked about.
it's going to get talked about.
yeah.
The whole point was, you have to be careful when you start sending emails around to board members, because you have walking quorums. That's why we put the kibosh on it. Okay? And she could have just as well have sent it to Zeke, or sent it to the Board of Trustees in general, and it would showed up on the correspondence for everybody to see. That's not how it occurred.
All right.
But I think it'll be taken care of
Yeah.
in discussion. Okay?
Calling your attention to one thing on the sheriff's report.
Are you on there again?
Well, you know, from time to time, John, only when you keep me out late.
See a Sunnyside Court down there.
Sunny side, sunny court, sunny side over there.
6 reports of theft. That's the first time I've really seen that volume come through here. And not really attributable to anything I didn't call up to follow up on. I just want to bring your attention to it.
And I wonder how that compares, you know, this is the heavy summer months. I don't know.
Yep.
Are these
That-
gas station drive-offs, or what are
Well,
these
this, you
addresses?
see theft
No, they're not. They
automobile,
don't record those anymore.
right? Theft automobile would be
They don't respond.
the one that I would expect in a high tourist situation, right? The others appear to be theft from a home, which is a little bit of a different animal.
Well, you got,
How do you know?
How do you know?
Some are,
Yeah, you-
The officer may have inputted different. If you look the next line down, theft automobile, 63014, so they differentiated that one. The officer may not have coded it.
well, the thing is, 10641 address, it shows up as tavern checks, theft automobile, and theft.
yeah. So that
Same
was,
address.
Yep.
somebody
What's going on
lost their
there?
wallet at Husby's and reported it as stolen.
Well, you can always call and check and ask what it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's the same addresses.
Yeah, two.
You're right.
Sure.
Yeah, those are, yeah.
But just above it, there's a lot of suspicious stuff going on, isn't there?
Okay.
And guess what? That address is on suspicious as well.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions on the correspondence?
No, sir.
Any comments from anybody in the audience who wish to comment on a non-agenda item? Going once, going twice? Thank you. New business, item number 1, consider a motion to act on a recommendation of the Planning Commission to approve Resolution 297-091614, approving a certified survey map for the John Stollenberg for the area west of Little Sister Road. Motion by Lino.
Second?
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
That's easy.
See you, Brian.
Thanks for coming.
Put me number one on the agenda. It's very kind of you after the plan commission.
We had to make it up to you.
Right on. Have a good night. Thank you, folks.
We feel bad.
Bye.
Item number 2, consider a motion to act on a recommendation of the Plan Commission to approve ordinance 231-091614, amending and recreating sections 66-05.05, sub E, sub 2, sub H, delivery trucks in residential neighborhoods for home-based businesses. Motion by Lino.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item number 3, consider a motion to act on a recommendation of the Plan Commission to adopt ordinance 232-091614, amending and recreating section 66-0505, wind energy towers. Motion by Lino.
Second.
Discussion.
Can you explain it to me?
Really long story made short, the state of Wisconsin stepped in and said, back in 2009, and I think it took until 2011 or 12 for them to finally adopt PSC 128, which promulgated rules about wind tower siting throughout the state with nameplates from 0 up to whatever the system size would be. There are some exemptions for those with a total system capacity less than 300 kW or a single turbine nameplate of less than 100 kW, but essentially it just drops them into a lower setback category, the ones that we'd be most likely to see around here, in my opinion. You're looking at about 1,350 feet in location away from a residence for zoning purposes.
I can distill it down even further.
Okay.
This brings our ordinance in compliance with the state.
There you
That's
go.
what I was reading
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah.
It brings it into compliance with the state, but
Correct.
did I also read into it that if somebody were to try to come in and do it, the state would supersede ours and we wouldn't have any say in it anyway?
Well, yes and
Yes.
no. You'd
That's
come
what it sounded
in, you'd
like.
deny them, you'd go to court about it, you would probably lose, and then the state would come in and tell you what to do.
Right. Yes,
Yeah.
your surmise is
There isn't anything
correct.
we can do about it.
Okay, well, then, that's what I needed
It's
to
a
know.
moot point.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Consider a motion to convene in a closed session. Is there any other agenda item you want to do before we go closed session?
Let's get number 7, get Mary Kay out of here.
Item number 7, consider a motion to adopt resolution number 299-091614, accepting a secondary offer on the old school property. Explanation.
Yeah, at a meeting with the finance committee, I was instructed to go out and continue to try to sell the property. Right now, the current buyers have until the 25th to show good evidence of financing. At that time, my recommendation to you all would be to go ahead and move on to the second offer. We had a time commitment on this. I executed it, so I'm hoping you guys decide to go ahead with it based on the finance committee's recommendation and adopt the resolution.
25th
Of
of
this month.
September. Okay.
The offer expires.
Yeah.
And there's a second offering.
And
Right.
what we're doing tonight is essentially pre-authorizing that through resolution, which you all have to do to dispose of property, so that on the 25th, if that's the case, then this would then pick up on the 26th and become the primary offer.
All right, so how long, when was the first offer supposed to expire?
60 days.
60 days, which is what date?
September 25th.
September
25th. Okay, so we're not giving them any day or leeway or anything. We're saying the next day you're gone.
A couple of items, the first of which being the earnest money. The first offer was set to be $1,000, which is arguably a little light for a transaction of this value. To the best of what I can tell, that earnest money was submitted late. We gave them a pass on that to go ahead and complete their financing. I know he's been up here a number of times looking at things. I would, on record, have every expectation that he would have things lined up and ready to go by the 25th. If not, we've already been through this one time before. I don't want to get us caught with major projects in the planning phase and not have something going on.
Just putting an offer in the secondary position. And
Yes.
Well,
That's it,
I
that's
don't
it.
have a problem with putting an offer in a secondary position. I would think that we might owe them the courtesy of letting the buyer know that we have a secondary offer.
He knows.
you'd better move or you're
They know.
gonna.
He knows.
He knows.
I spoke to him maybe 2 weeks ago and explained to him, because and I believe he was up this week getting a copy of the offer, correct, Janelle? He saw you for that?
Yeah.
Okay. So he's aware, and he's working to get things taken care of.
Okay, as long as we've done our due diligence and he is aware of
He is
it,
too,
then
yeah.
I don't have a problem with it, but I don't want him to be coming
I see it
back.
no difference than if you're selling your house
Yeah,
and there's a drop dead date on the house, and you have a secondary offer laying in the background.
yeah.
Drop dead date comes and goes, you move on to the second
That's
offer.
it.
Yeah, and the position would be, John, if for some reason this primary offer moved up and something fell through and Mr. Goki wanted to come back around and take another stab at it, we'd be more than willing to go back down the road with him. You all have some pretty hefty bills coming up in fairly short order.
Well, I'm all for
Yep.
accepting it, I just want to make sure we don't blindside somebody.
Mary Kay, you gonna talk a minute about what's planned to be done by this buyer?
Absolutely, thank you for this opportunity.
I can't hear you.
She's coming.
Will in a moment.
I've had the opportunity to represent this corporation, which has its bio in here, established in 1977 by a young man who has carried it through to this day, who has ties to Door County, a home in Fish Creek. He's trying to buy property in northern Door County right now for his daughters, and is going back and forth on living on the outskirts of Sister Bay and Liberty Grove. This is not someone who is going to build and bolt. This is someone who plans to be here for the long term, unlike many people that you know in this community right now. I did bring handouts for everyone here in regards to the corporation that I represent and that has the secondary offer, which was apparently very, very warmly received by Randy Nesbitt, who is familiar with their work. This company isn't a fly-by-night operation, a one-time thing. You're not going to be seeing empty condo shells. You're going to be seeing luxury apartments, and you can laugh and say, my gracious, we've got empty apartments, we've got apartments everywhere. You don't have apartments like this. Every day as a real estate broker, I get a call every day at this time of the year. What can we rent long-term so we can try before we buy? We're not really sure what we want to do. And then there are the people who really cannot afford a mortgage for what they want in this area. So in that event, this company, you can see that they have approximately 8,000 market rate rental properties in North Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois. This gentleman is up here all the time. What he wants to do is work with Sister Bay, and I think Randy Nesbitt has probably talked to Zeke, and Zeke has seen the correspondence back and forth to make him maybe a little bit comfortable about that. They want to blend in with the community. They want to work with everything. They understand that the DOT is coming in over the next year and a half. They want to do underground parking. I mean, there isn't anything that they don't think about. They would send their engineers up before anything is done. There is a 120-day due diligence period to the best of my recollection because of the primary offer. They send up their engineers. They know that you have impact fees. They know that there are storm water issues. You know, this isn't did you say $1,000 earnest money down on the first thing? This isn't that kind of corporation. These are people that want to make a really standing impact, long-term, that Sister Bay can be proud of. There is a need for this in this community. I think of people who own multiple restaurants in this community who rent apartments, and they rent apartments in the nearby area in Sister Bay, and they are in small apartments that are, you know, not friendly. They can afford something better, but they don't want to own because they don't have time to mow grass. They don't have time to do this, do that. This is fulfilling a service that this community doesn't have. This is also fulfilling a service that no other community in northern Door County has. Now, you think about the demographic that would come into this. Would I rent this? Absolutely. Would someone older, I hate to say pre-assisted living rent this, absolutely. But you're talking a corporation that is renowned throughout the Midwest, that will answer any question that, tonight is just preliminary, asking you to give them a shot at second chance. They'll bring up their big boys, I mean, truly, and answer your questions. Work with Zeke, that's the first thing that they said. And it's so funny because they really want to tie into the roots of Sister Bay. They want a Scandinavian theme, they want, you know, they have some grand plans for what they want to do. It's not a large-scale development. It wouldn't be empty. Questions that I would be asked, time frame, because of the DOT and because of the due diligence, they would break ground in the event they became primary in spring of 2015. They would start renting in 2016. Based on what I know about their rental capacity in Sturgeon Bay, Green Bay, and throughout Wisconsin and the Midwest, you would be full by autumn of 2016. These people would shop, eat, live here. You know, your only thing is, yes, they don't pay taxes, but what do you gain by this? Empty condo holes, empty condo shells, or people who run off to other states and say, you know, I'm busy here, I'm not going to finish my development right now. These people are the real deal. He would be willing to come up personally. He doesn't need to. You have his biography right here. He's been doing this since he was 18 years old. It's kind of a huge success story. I would sincerely hope that you would consider the secondary offer. It has real money down. It's been discussed with your attorney at length. It doesn't have any holes, any gaps. It has tons of due diligence for both the village and the buyer, and it's kind of a win-win for everybody. If you would agree with me that this need is needed, and it is needed, I will tell you that every day. There are people that can't live in I won't say can't, but they won't live in a $500 a month condominium. They want to be here, but they want what they're used to in their primary home. This would be a real asset to Sister Bay. They have it figured out. There's underground parking. Zeke has several, you know, different things. And again, they want to make it blend in with the community. They want it to have a Scandinavian flavor. The word that was used a billion times was boutique, boutique. Send up my architects, make this a boutique project, something that not only Sister Bay can be proud of, Door County can be proud of, but we want to make this our flagship thing for the next 3 years, because that's about how long it will take to get it through you, get it through them, and get it full. But in any event, thank you for listening to me, and please read your
Thanks,
paper.
Mary Kay,
Thank you.
only the folks looking for somewhere to rent, we happen to have one of those at our boathouse, so send them my way.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion, we accept the recommendation of the Finance Committee and approve the resolution.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion?
I
Go ahead,
have a
Gary.
question.
Sure.
She said Nesbit.
Randy
Those are the
Nesbitt.
people that run the Piggly Wiggly?
No.
No.
Randy Nesbitt is
He's
part
a
of
lawyer.
Pinkert Law Firm.
Okay.
He's
He is the
He's our
village,
attorney.
he's the village attorney. He's attorney for the
Okay,
village.
I don't know why the Nesbit name came up.
And they are relatives.
They are.
They are relatives.
Okay, sorry, but just made the hair stand up on my neck. Thank you for clarifying. All right, fine, I'm okay.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Greg, is there something you were here for a picture?
I mean, if you can kick me out,
Okay.
I just want to tell my wife when I'm home.
Go to Husby's.
Keep the noise down though, would you? We're getting a lot of complaints from over there.
Okay, so before we do the closed session, let's do the asphalt lift.
Yeah.
Number 8, consider a motion to approve paving a second lift of asphalt at Cherrywood Lane. Motion by Lino,
Second?
2-inch.
Mr. Administrator.
Okay, we have approximately $23,600. Sorry, I didn't have that in your board report, needed to fill that in later. In an account that was given to us by Mr. Horbinski when he was suffering from a terminal illness. Didn't think he'd be around to see this project to completion. Of course, we're all thankful Mr. Horbinski's still around. I had John Colosi come out, take a look at it. He offered two options, a 1.5-inch lift at $22,000 and a 2-inch lift at $28,200. He tried to complete the work this October, so that project would come to completion.
Okay, so this is putting the second lift of asphalt in Cherrywood subdivision
Yes.
up here behind the pig. And how long have we had the money in escrow that he gave us the money for it?
Years.
Since before my time, more than 10 years.
Okay. So this project has been sitting there for about 12 years, as I recall.
It's been earning interest.
It's been earning
We
interest.
have the money for it.
Right, he paid us for
He
it
already
12
paid
years
for
ago.
it.
You should have done it back then when.
Just burning a hole in our pocket.
When the money'd go a little further for you. Right now, you're gonna be short.
He called us a couple of months ago to remind us.
You still have my money.
So when we investigated, Juliet confirmed that yes, in fact, he had given us the money. We have it there. It's been getting some interest over the last 10 or 12 years.
We haven't spent it?
And
That's
perhaps
amazing.
it's time to.
So this is to increase the height of the road?
Yes.
There was only one layer of asphalt pulled down. There were supposed to be
Okay, so
two.
Okay.
Standard road bed is gonna have two 2-inch lifts of asphalt. They're called lifts, is the name for it.
Okay.
And they did one while they were doing construction traffic, which is pretty common. So they could come back after the fact, lay a nice smooth coat on top, fill in any dips or
Under
gaps that are created
construction.
from trucks, yeah.
And that second layer was never done because they gave us the money and we forgot. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Okay, so what one was approved?
2-inch.
The 2-inch.
Inch.
And let's go ahead and take care of, consider a motion to confirm and appoint President Leo's nomination of qualified citizens to trustees to fill vacancies in committees, commissions, and boards in the village's sister bay. What I'm proposing is fairly simple this evening. Wherever Pam Apsher was on the committee, that Kathy Enquist be appointed to replace that position. So that would be putting Kathy in library, on personnel, on teen center, and on the administrative benefits oversight committee. Motion by Lino. Oops, sorry.
Second.
Any other discussion?
Did you know that?
Excuse me. Sorry, I had it silenced. Let's push the wrong button.
$5.
Yeah, 25, I thought it was 25.
No, those are the only appointments for tonight.
Okay.
Are those appointments or is that a motion?
Was there?
He was-
Just
I made the
appointments, right?
motion to make those appointments.
To make appointments, okay.
Correct.
I'll second that motion.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. When we get to administrative committee minutes overview, or administrative committee, there'll be some other discussion about appointments.
You guys keep this up, you're gonna have the fastest board meeting ever.
That will never happen.
Yeah, don't say that, all right?
Yeah, that's like
Now you've already
jinxing us,
jinxed us.
exactly.
Now we're looking at 11 o'clock. Let's go to item 10, report of county activities from County Supervisor Dave Leo. As discussed at the last meeting, it just continues to work on the budget process. That's the big issue. September 8th, Finance met and made about $900,000 in cuts to the budget and shifted some money and funds around. And they've gone in with about an $880-some thousand deficit to last year's budget and left that room with a $376 deficit. And so those budgets were then turned back to the oversight committees for their approval by September 26th. By September 26th, they will turn it back. So next month in October, Finance will give its final approval to the budget and move it forward to the county board for November adaptation at the county board. That's all I have to report on that, unless you have some questions.
So they couldn't find that extra $327 somewhere, huh?
We're holding out for somebody to come up with it.
That's funny.
Okay, consider a motion to convene in closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statutes 19.85, sub 1, sub e, deliberating and negotiating the purchase of public properties, investing in public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. Motion by Lino.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Baker,
Yes.
Gold,
Yes.
Duffy,
Yes.
Enquist,
Yes.
Lino,
Yes.
Solomon,
Yes.
and Zajac.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Administrator.
Laddie, if you'll cut off.
Okay, we're now back in open session. Would somebody like to make a motion based on what was discussed in closed session?
I'll make, no.
I'd make a motion that we approve the purchase of the easement to
From Miss Barbara Hall
Barbara Hall
for
property
$30,000.
for $30,000.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
Excellent.
Item number 11, review of the financial statements, consideration of a motion to approve the monthly bills. I will make a motion to approve the monthly bills in the amount of $212,308.57.
I'll second the motion.
Discussion.
Village, page 4, Zoom, page 40.
Is it JJR?
No, I left that one out because I already talked about it before.
He's run that one into the ground.
No, I already know where this one was coming
Okay, which
from.
one is it again, John? Page 40 what?
Page 40 on the Zoom.
Yes.
Cleaning Johnson Park storm sewer.
I've got that
Why
circled
is it,
also.
why is this parks? Why wouldn't it be utilities? And number 2, why isn't it private?
Okay.
If I have a problem with my storm sewer, I don't have the village coming up with it.
Depends on who owns the storm sewer.
Yep, a couple of points on how this is. One, it's village because it's storm water. You all don't have a storm sewer utility, even though oversight for storm sewer is controlled by a committee that also oversees our wastewater collection and water distribution systems, because from a skill set standpoint, that's where the knowledge base resides among our staff. So that would be charged to the village 100%, and Parks is the appropriate place for it to go.
It's charged to the village again, I'm not sure, because
it's storm sewer, the village pays for it. You don't have a separate utility, and it wasn't set up before Act 40, I'm sorry, Act 20. Correct.
And it was mandated by the state. It wasn't like we wanted to do it. The state said, you need to do this.
And quite frankly, you all should make
Was
some
that the
investments
lake
in
that
your
formed?
streets and stormwater infrastructure. There are drain basins I can take you to now that should have 3 or 4 feet of clearance. They may have 6 inches of clearance in them. To my knowledge, you all haven't engaged in significant proactive maintenance of your storm sewer system. It's on a, we have a problem now, let's go deal with it basis. The same with your roadways.
Perfect.
The TV results did come back today. They were up there this afternoon, TV, and the pipe looks to be in good shape, good structural integrity. And so it looks as if the most viable option cost-wise for us is to sleeve that. We can apply a credit that we've had from previous projects from DOT towards that installation. I'll relay this information to them. We'll move ahead with that. Juliana?
Because this is connected with the Bayshore Drive project, it's being charged to the TIF, to the Bayshore Drive stormwater, the storm sewer part of the Bayshore Drive project.
Okay.
So it's not being charged to Parks, and it is money that, if the TIF did well, could eventually be recovered from the TIF.
When the tip.
Yeah. All right, then, along with
Better, because we're spending it.
before we got it, so along with that same
That's what you do,
theory,
Tiffs.
on page 41 of the Zoom, you got marina water samples.
Same issue.
Same issue. Is that gonna be charged to the village or parks, or is that gonna be charged to the TIF as you did the other one?
We
Stormwater,
charged all of that to the tip.
all right.
Find it here.
And then on page 42 of the Zoom, village page 6, we got Pinkert Law Firm for parking tickets.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What is that all about?
Well, your village attorney is responsible for prosecuting parking tickets. Generally, what happens is somebody gets a parking ticket, they come in the office, they pay the clerk, they go on their way. They recognize that they violated a local code. In the case of this, what occurred was we did not have appropriate signage. We discussed this at Parks up in our parking lot when I called the sheriff's department for an interpretation on why they issued citations in our parking lot that happened to also serve a park along with other facilities. Their answer was that throughout the county, their policy is if there's a parking lot attached to the park, that they enforce the parking lot as one metric of curfew enforcement in order to keep people out of the parks. I countered and that went nowhere. So it would appear from an administrative standpoint, the best thing to do would be to clean it up. I had to engage Randy Nesbitt to go and work with the sheriff's department to have those citations pulled from the docket and to make them go away. There were a number of citations issued to Brett Unkfer, his staff, his customers, Jenny with Cupcake. It's just not good PR for us.
No, it's
so I made them go away.
So,
Okay, so moving forward, this shouldn't happen again, or
Would
what?
hope not, it's now signed.
There's different signs down there now.
Okay.
Yeah, and we've separated, quote, the parking lot from the
The
park.
park.
Okay.
And that was what the sheriff had said, you need to do a better job with your signage.
I mean, you're trying to get people downtown, stay there, have dinner, et cetera. They come late, they stay late. Park closes at 10:30. You can't be giving everybody parking there.
Ooh, and that's after 10:30, they were issuing
10 o'clock,
tickets?
they got
10
my
o'clock,
ticket, so
10
it was open
Park
until
closes at 10.
midnight.
Another great
In that
advantage
case.
of having that extra police service.
And they did exactly what the sign said.
Yeah.
And look, I've gotten a number of complaints around citations ranging from, yeah, I saw it, there's a no parking sign there, but it was after hours and I just didn't think it would be a big deal till you guys don't have enough parking. Right, so people felt like they could park anywhere because there wasn't enough parking.
This,
So they're doing them.
this wasn't one of those that, the guy that wrote us that letter? From
That was
the
a different one.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's not in.
Anybody else on the bills?
That's all I,
I guess I have one here. This says quarry lawsuit.
Where and when? Oh, under the same thing.
Same
Under Pinkert.
Pinkert, I just noticed.
Yes.
Is something going on with the quarry?
He continues to work on it. They continue to try and negotiate with the owners of the quarry to supposedly be able to come back and offer something to the village. That hasn't occurred yet.
They have some due process rights that we're trying to work through.
Okay.
Page 43 for the Marina Fest fireworks.
Spiel bar? Yep.
Why 5,500? Was there a reasoning behind that? Because I know it was only 5,000 that was approved.
That would have been the invoice that was sent to us. Was that what this was based on?
Yeah. Was it supposed to be less?
It was only supposed to be 5,000.
Okay.
I'll talk to Buzzy, but I told him 5, but just wanted to see if there was something. I know we had to postpone it one day. I don't know if that influences the cost.
you already bought the fireworks.
No, because this was paid prior to the Saturday. These checks were cut.
Okay.
Okay,
You know, ask Fuzzy and get back with us.
yeah.
Okay.
Because I mentioned it today, it was 5,000 at the Marina meeting, and he didn't bat an eyelash at it. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
aye.
We'll go to committee reports before we do item 12. Item number 1, administrative. The administrative committee did meet. And what the administrative committee wants to propose is that a new ad hoc committee be formed, and increase the cost of government here for a year or two, to put together I'll call it until we come up with a better name, a marketing committee to be comprised of 2 trustees, somebody from SBAA, and somebody from ad hoc from the community. And it's to put together and put a marketing plan together, it would have to be funded, to decide what we're going to do with the beach, what we're going to do with the performance pavilion, what we're going to do with our assets over the next 2 years to kick off all the changes going on in Sister Bay and to make something happen. Generate the excitement, do the grand openings, etc. And I'd rather not leave that in the hands of a different entity. I'd rather keep it within the board, within the committee to pull that together and direct it. At some point in time after discussion with finance and budget, we'll probably come back with a dollar figure to put in the committee's working coffers to pull some of this stuff off.
And to clarify, this isn't to compete with another organization in the village, it's to supplement.
Cooperate.
To cooperate and supplement, okay.
But
I mean,
I just want to make that clear.
Well, I'll be very direct. My point in trying to do this is the village needs to look out for the best interest of the overall village, not just an organization and its membership. Okay?
Agreed.
Recognizing we're still going to work with different organizations to pull things together. Okay? But at this point in time, it's our performance pavilion, it's our beach project. All the residents of Sister Bay and taxpayers of Sister Bay have put their funds in to make all this happen. And I would just like to make sure that it's the board that controls what happens with that going forward. The idea of the committee.
I don't disagree with anything you're saying there, with the addition that if we're putting all of that into it because it's not being done in other places, then we should address what we're doing with other places.
It's 2 very different issues.
Marketing to the village of Sister Bay is their primary concern in my mind.
Well, maybe you need to look at maybe we should have this done. Maybe we should have the Door County Visitors Bureau tell us and describe for us what the purpose of the rooms tax is that's distributed to the various business organizations in the county, and what the purpose of that money is. Because it is direct under state law what and how things happen. Okay? It's defined by somebody else, it's not defined by us. Okay? And so maybe we should have a good background explanation of what and how that happens. Okay? So we're all on the same page with that. And then secondarily to that, we do, in addition to those funds that are generated from the room sales tax, which we get a portion of that is used for the general betterment of the community, in infrastructure, et cetera, to support tourism. Okay, how much? 30,000?
No, 30% of the money is remitted to the local community. We give a 3% share to the TZC for administration of tax collection.
Tourism and commission.
Yes, 70% goes to the Door County Visitors Bureau for all funds received by Sister Bay for
Right. But as I understood it, that was for marketing. Those funds that they receive, that they give back to Sister Bay is for marketing.
No, I won't say that it's for marketing. I would say
It's
that's
for
a portion
tourism.
of it. It's for tourism promotion.
is
That
the-
can take any number of forms, just like the dollars we receive, okay, can be used for general use. And we as a board years ago decided that it should support the infrastructure that supports tourism. So whether that's a road or a light or whatever, but something enough to the overall community in support of the tourism industry. So you can say it's just for marketing in Sister Bay.
Well,
I don't, that's not the
But
definition.
you could, by that
the division
definition,
put
Dave,
together.
you could use the same definition you just did and apply it to this committee. I mean, it's for marketing, it's an ad hoc committee to promote the beachfront for tourism and for the pavilion and for the village of Sister Bay. Is it not promoting tourism and marketing?
Of course.
And the greater good of the village of Sister Bay?
Of course.
So
That's why I
money-
suggested we get the Door County Visitors Bureau up here to describe for us what their, by law, what their creed is for the funds that are distributed to the, quote, other organizations that are given money. And so you hear from them what the credo is. 'Cause we can say it's all marketing, and it may not be that at all.
And I don't know there's been a single court case defining what marketing is. And to Dave's point about it being broad-based, so far we've liberally construed that concept, and sitting on TZC, Nora's there with me. festivals, events, giveaways, general media advertising, earned media advertising, hosting, travel reporters. There are a number of things DCVB does to promote tourism in Door County. And they're so effective at it that in the last recession, when everybody else was double-digit down, you all remained flat, which is pretty impressive.
Sister Bay decided when room taxes first became available to use that money for debt service.
Correct. On what we had purchased.
And that's where it sits in the budget at the present time.
To your point, you currently fund SBAA to the tune of $50,000 annually in your support to other organizations' budget. I think that's the sum of money that John is referring
Well,
to.
plus we also give them room tax dollars.
Well,
We don't give them the room tax dollars.
they come from DCVB as a community support fund, and that's the portion that Dave is mandated. DCVB at its annual meeting, or I guess heck at any time, I'd have to get into it with Jack, but could pull those funds and potentially do something else with them to promote tourism. They have found it most efficient to work through local entities to promote the individual municipalities.
And how much is that, those funds? About
About 37.
37,000.
About
So
37.
Additional 37, so it's 87,000.
There is a legal hold on it. The money has to be given to an organization that was in existence prior to, I think,
2008, I think.
Maybe it is. I was thinking
It was
I think
part of
something like 2004,
I
but
think it was
yeah.
even earlier than
Was
that,
it?
yeah.
Okay.
But it can't be a new organization dedicated
It
to
has to
tourism
be an
promotion.
established one.
Yeah. I think pretty wide precedent, given the push at the General Assembly level to say that municipalities are not organizations dedicated to tourism promotion, even though we know that we do things that promote tourism.
We try.
And we do really good at that. One of the things that was brought up or I was questioned about, could we do a better job of promoting the Performance Pavilion? That was Julie's email. I spent a good bit of time with Josh Van Lyshout, who's the Egg Harbor's administrator. And I've asked some questions of Josh. Josh, how do you pull this off? And the answer is they hire an outside consultant. Just the consultant fee is $18,000 a year.
It's a JJR site.
Yeah, just to schedule the concerts. The woman does a fantastic job. She pulls in talent that's, regional or national in recognition, and tries to schedule them in between their big tour dates so that they can get a pretty hefty discount on it.
But I'm pretty sure it's in a six-figure value for the performers.
Yes.
One performer this year was $30,000.
Johnny Lang.
That's the most they've ever paid for a single performer, but just to give you an idea of what goes into that, it's huge.
To get, was it Marley?
Ziggy.
Ziggy. To get Ziggy to the auditorium was 25.
I think Big Bad Voodoo Daddy was 50.
Yeah.
So, these performers are costly to bring them in. We could look at things like ticketing. I know this is now a broader conversation based on forming the committee, but.
Yeah, so that was all the type of things that I wanted the committee to be able to take a look at, was things that are different, that we could look at doing within the village, within the community to better market Sister Bay.
I would strongly encourage you to, do you have a member of the community on that marketing committee?
What I
Say
wanted to
Julia
do,
Duffy.
I suggested, don't come up with names. Yeah. We can't vote in this committee tonight. I'm just saying this is what I'm going to come up with the next, there'll be 2 trustees, somebody from SBA, and a member from the community at large, whoever that may be. What I would suggest we could make it. We'll see it at the next board meeting, but I'm just kind of giving you a heads up. You'll hear it in some of the other committees as we go through the next month. Bay Shore Oversight.
Did meet, selected some light fixtures. You guys will be glad to know we'll be spending a few $1,000s. Hopefully still burning through DOT's credit. We don't have a final assessment on that. For wreath hooks, flagpole holders, and banner mounts for our fluted decorative lighting system. It's high class.
And then we also heard from,
Yes, WPS came in and gave a presentation. March 1 is their targeted start date for overhead line burial. There will be a number of easements needed for locating transformers, junction boxes for the utility companies. Everything has gone relatively smooth with that process so far, and I think they did an excellent job of presenting what they're doing, answering the public's questions.
and Frontier was there, Charter was there. There were a number of people that answered the question.
And March 1st will still be frozen.
Probably.
Could be.
Do they care?
I guess the thing that I would mention about that also, in case people ask you, there will be dual systems in place. So while they're doing the underground and doing the hookups, the overhead will still be in place. And they'll probably transition one by one as they go up or down the hill, depending on which way the building's from. So there'll be a combination of both for a while.
What was expected, maybe I missed it, what was expected completion date for those?
Memorial Day is their expected, but that's not a complete single system. We will put some pressure on the telecom providers to get their stuff off of the poles. They will be the ones that are sort of lagging in transferring their service, as I understand it. It could be August or September. We still would have two systems in place as those telecoms move their stuff off the poles.
And during construction, you're going to end up one lane.
One lane.
Through downtown Sister Bay.
Okay?
And we anticipate that they're going to try and do it in a moving fashion, so it wouldn't be the whole length.
Unless they bring a number of crews.
Right, unless they have multiple
Possible
crews to try
to
and
be
shorten
like the last
time.
one, yeah.
Any idea how long it's gonna?
Less than the last one.
Duffy's just full of good news, isn't he?
John, I've learned in my time in Door County, don't count on anything until it's done. I'm still trying to finish the pavilion up, a couple little loose ends, so.
Where'd that nice split rail fence go? I like that.
It's a sports complex, temporary back.
Coastal byways.
Minutes from Thursday, August 14th, I covered last month. That was basically, we talked about the website upgrade. Had a meeting on Thursday, September 11th. Quick question, Zeke, anything about putting our little kiosk in the parade? We can do it if you want. Again, more upgrades on our website. Also, they're talking about some apps for an iPhone for our county scenic byway. About it.
So when they talk about apps for the iPhone, do they talk about apps for Android devices?
That hasn't come up.
The rest of the wrong guy.
Previously, I understood it to be a mobile
yes.
platform.
Because whenever I hear something like that, I go, okay, so the iPhone has got less than 1/10 of the installed base. of Android
I use
devices.
that term in error.
Yeah.
I use that term in error.
It's sort of like a Frigidaire as a reference to all refrigeraters. The iPhone is
Maybe in the South.
all small. Yeah.
Do they still make those?
40 years anyway.
Well, it's just like what you have in front of you is a Coke.
Okay, DCECD.
DCEDC, the minutes from August 11th are in your packet. That was the meeting at the Sister Bay Boys and Girls Clubs. I covered that last month. The meeting on the 8th, this past Monday, sat through a workplace wellness initiative by the YMCA. I guess the big news is they're proposing a 2015 Bassmaster Championship Fishing Tournament out of Sturgeon Bay, which could be
ESPN covered.
ESPN could be pretty lucrative. They're looking at somewhere between 3 and 3.5 million impact on the economy for that.
I'm going to make this statement, okay, after a conversation with the Department of Tourism. The Department of Tourism regards that particular issue as having county-wide impact.
Yes.
I don't know how much impact we'll see up here, but that qualifies them for a higher tier consideration on the gym grants. If you happen to bump into any of our Department of Tourism people, please give them an earful about that.
Well, to that extent.
That'd be September next year.
2015.
September, it's usually in spring, bass.
Well, this is
No,
like
this
the
is-
Super Bowl. They
do all
eliminate.
year long and all the champions
These are
come.
the final 50.
If I remember right, it's something like 2,000 rooms.
Yeah, over
That ring a bell.
1,700 room nights are expected. So if we fill up Sturgeon Bay and any.
So we gotta start planting stories in the paper now about the hot bass spots up in the
Yeah.
door.
What
right,
I'm
Sister
going
Bay.
to-
Hey, my kid's caught a couple hundred out of the marina.
Where I'm going with that, in all seriousness, is we need to start thinking about promoting the marina. because
Yeah.
Not only for launching and hotels up here, but there is an awful lot of bass tournament fishermen that
Yep.
do fish northern door.
Yeah.
Okay, and
John.
there's a lot of bass out here off the Sister Islands, okay, and there's a lot of bass that, there's charters that go out just targeting bass right here in Sister Bay. So, and if you look at the marina in the spring, you'll see, before we even put the boats in, there was probably about 10 or 15 high-end bass boats that were running around.
John, part of our marketing and promotion plan, that's something for us to look at.
The dates are September 27th through October 4th for that.
Now, this is a for sure.
This is ice fishing or?
No, they're working on getting it.
But there's another one, because the marina closed today, or is closing on the 14th of September, so that's something that we have to consider, that
For next year.
you're making sure that during this tournament,
They're
that the
not,
marina
they
is
have to
open.
launch out of Sturgeon Bay.
They do
Now,
have,
that's not to say they couldn't come up here and test the water
And
by
fish.
us, but for the
Yeah.
tournament, they have to launch out of Sturgeon Bay and then run up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where they'd be centered out of.
Could also start stocking the marina.
Duffy was in the paper with a big bass, sent it to him, Captain Jack.
Yeah.
Handed a grant for stocking the other day.
There you go.
that's all I have, Dave.
Item 5, economic development.
Project management team met, and we got a revised proposal from Jolena Presti of Vanderwall and Associates, $25,000 total proposal. I just submitted a grant the other day to WEDC that would potentially net us about $62.50. What came out of that PMT meeting was that both Greg Casperson and Arthur Braun are willing to contribute $2,000 each if the village is still willing to fund that project moving forward. We talked about it in a previous meeting. We need to bring it up at budget this go round. Right now, it really revolves around analyzing our TIF and working with a financial advisor firm to go through our TIF to find out if we can take advantage of the recent legislative changes that have been put in to revalue TIFs. I don't know if we need the qualification or not, but I think that's worth looking into. Also in producing some condensed sell sheets for those properties for marketing purposes.
So what's that proposal for? When I put this-
Economic development.
Economic development. This in the context that things move and change. So 2 of the 4 properties
Are
are
gone,
sold.
are
not
gone.
sold.
Yes.
Yeah, and all the village properties are sold, so now now the village is becoming a realtor for private enterprise.
Well, essentially this came out of the conversation that we were having. What's taking place is we had some properties that we thought had a relatively high value, and they do. The unfortunate part is the market conditions for developers don't support people paying long money, the 2007 prices for things. Those days have come and gone. As a consequence, the mindset amongst some of the existing property holders, not just the 2 that we're talking about throughout the village, they continue to ask long money for properties that don't necessarily meet those pricing guidelines anymore. It's also why you guys saw a roughly $10 million drop in your gross valuation this year for the village. I know there's been one person to sort of get on the horn with Arthur and offer him what he considers a ridiculously low sum, but that doesn't mean that it's not a market rate for what it is. Our schoolhouse property appraised at around $650. We ended up accepting $415 for it.
That 650 was a number of
That was
years ago.
Yeah, well, that was
the
a pretty number
2007,
of years ago.
2008 time
We put
period.
it up for $1 million too.
Right. So the market equalizes.
Subsequent to that, we were under 500, we got assessments for, I mean appraisals for. Yeah.
But the so far, the village is approved and spent $55,000 to market the economic development for our own village.
To develop your redevelopment plan,
That's
you've not
right.
spent any money on marketing.
Well, we, 40,000 for the plan, because we were supposed to get grant and didn't, and so it was 40,000. And then we had another 15,000 for realtor shared costs that we approved 3 months ago, based on that, so that totals about
You haven't spent that.
55. Well,
The
are we
one you
gonna
approved a
spend?
few months ago, have not moved forward with it, pending these sales and pending some of the comments from the existing property owners on those identified parcels. I think it's parcels A and C in our plan, the Casperson and the Braun sites. Initially, we got on board with one thing, we had some meetings about it, and at that time, we had 4 parcels that were available, 2 were village and 2 were privately owned. Well, we didn't sit on ours. When an opportunity came up to sell them, we, with all expediency, let's take the money and get things done. So now we are down to just 2 private properties.
So, and it doesn't matter what the specific amount was, but the idea of Arthur Braun having somebody come in that he thinks is low, was it in the same kind of value
As our transactions?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Arm's length transactions, and that'll play a role in our assessments for the coming year as well, once these properties have actually transacted. The assessors will take a look around. I believe the Braun properties are assessed at around 600,000,
Oh, really?
and I think he's got
Isn't he-
substantially more than that in it.
Oh, yeah, as I was gonna say, I thought he wanted more than that,
Yes,
like double.
more than that.
Birdo math.
Okay.
Okay, finance.
Minutes are in the packet, and I guess you saw the fruits of our labor today. Parks budget was approved, from what I
Yep.
understand, or from what I remember. And I don't know if there's anything else substantial that needs to be mentioned.
Any questions? Fire.
Minutes in the packet. We now should have, although I guess it didn't make it to the last one, we have a budget for finance to review at its next meeting. And again, at 1.7%.
Be there in,
Okay.
it's like $57.
Yes, but the village's share of that is 1,700.
Okay.
Because it's 1/3 village, 2/3 Liberty Grove.
So I have a question in the chief's report. He talks about call totals for the year are normal, and then item B, there was one significant call, the woman who fell off the bluff at Ellison Bay Bluff Park. This is the 4th or 5th over the bluff in the last 2 years.
Yep.
This is up over the previous years. The fire departments in Door County are forming a high-angle rescue unit.
Yes. They're having to rappel down and gain services of usually fishermen to extract these individuals by water because it's too dangerous to go back up with them. The easiest route is down, but they have to get to them one way or another. And they don't feel as though they have the proper gear or training to, even for the professionals, to be rappelling cliffs and so forth. So they're seeking out additional training so that they're at least
So
willing.
can I make a suggestion that maybe we have the fire board and/or the administrator ask the county to get involved and come up with something to either prevent the increase in falls off there, additional signage or something, or to come up with some way, funds, whatever, to help the response that's required for the people that do fall off.
Yep. Great idea. One point on the falls, I'm not sure about all of them, but I know some of them are, they're not in the areas that are marked. People should be smart enough to realize, don't get close to that edge there.
When you're wearing flip-flops.
Right. But they are. You know, these aren't the places that have the signs and the whatever. They're choosing to seek out, you know, the adventure seekers or whatever you want to
It's kind of
call
like
it.
people on thin ice, that's how you weed out the stupid.
Right, right. So, but I think it's a great idea that the county recognition, if
I mean,
nothing else.
even signs going into the park, big signs, danger.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
How about 4 people have fallen
And
to
how
their
about,
death in the last
put some-
2
put some
years?
statistics
You want to be
there.
number 5.
Have little numbers that you swap out. You know?
Falls or jumps?
These were falls. I don't think they were jumps.
We haven't got any newlyweds up there, do we? It seems to me that's what they do, is
No.
push them off cliffs.
I did hear there was one that might have had been hallucinating, that thought he had some special powers, but the others were just being stupid.
Fire district exploratory.
Do you know what boat responded last time? Because I saw it going up the highway, and it looked very official. I was being told by a rescue vehicle, and
Oh, well, they've had several. Usually it's the fishermen, but they do get, I
did
think.
look
That's the
like a
sheriff's, that's the
fishing boat.
sheriff's.
Oh, yeah, and
It
the
looked like a very
DNR was
official
there.
boat. That's the sheriff's boat.
Ephraim has a boat, I think, and they get
so
lots
there
of
are some
help.
boats.
Yes, yes, we don't
They're
have one.
readily available.
Yes,
Generally, they call Lee Board.
yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Historical Society.
The minutes in here were from last month. I think we kind of talked about them. And I was gone last week when they had their meeting. I haven't seen this month's notes yet.
Okay. Library. Minutes are in there.
Yep.
There is a reference that a new member for the Village of Sister Bay has not been appointed. That was taken care of tonight.
The library today finalized their budget and got it to me.
Any surprises? Any surprises?
Increase of about $2,500 over last year. Our share, okay, $5,000 all total.
Yeah.
Mainly due to propane costs.
Yeah. On that one, Kathy, when you go to the next meeting, if you would let me know, I'll attend. Right now, I'm looking at the tiniest district heating system you can produce, which is 2 buildings off of a combined boiler, so the Parks building and the library building. We'll see about cutting utility costs there.
Okay.
Have we signed a contract for this year, though, that we don't run into a problem with propane again?
Juliana?
Yes, we have a contract with Ferrogas this year.
Okay.
Is that through the Liberty Grove
Yes,
cooperative?
it's part of, right, it's part of a larger group which
Good.
has, gains us some cost savings. We're not going back to the,
Please do not.
no,
Yeah. Okay, good.
Marina and Marina Fest.
Marina, the minutes that are in your packet are from last August 14th meeting, which we discussed last meeting. We did meet today. We did send to finance our budget and to the board for today. So,
And Marina Fest went swimmingly, literally and figuratively, because we had a lot of rain.
we had a lot of rain swimming.
But it turned out as good as it possibly could for the weather that we had. We had great turnouts still. None of the vendors lost money. They still gained money.
Good.
So can't beat it for, probably an inch in that day, so.
Parks. Minutes are in there. Questions? As you can see, we're talking about Canterbury Lane extensions, modifications, a lot of the stuff we took care of. Personnel.
Personnel had a meeting. Minutes are in the packet. Ongoing issues as we look to discuss benefits and so forth.
We'll hit it again at the next meeting tomorrow.
3:30. What, I'm sorry, what? Personnel tomorrow, 3:30.
Bring your boxing gloves.
Probably not.
Plan Commission.
Generally see the fruit of Plan Commission's labor here as part of the actions that you took tonight. You will see Mr. Keith Garrett's project coming up again. That came out of finance, actually. We still have to review the noise ordinance. That has to go to Parks, then you go to SBA first. They've had their meeting, and that will refer back to Plan probably in November.
Communication Technology.
Has not met. The action item left over from the last meeting that we had was to see about burying conduit for fiber optic lines as a result of this utility burial we have going on now. If you're going to do it, that's the time to do it. I have a meeting on DOT with Thursday, and I brought on board Mr. Raoul, who does consulting work with the county for their engineering work to shepherd us through that process. At least getting a price.
Are these new?
County IS department had asked that we consider having conduit to bury dark fiber when they come through with it, which is where that topic came from. The county does tentatively have the fiber burial in its budget for next year, so.
Are these speakers new?
Yes.
I mean, they've been around, they were here last month.
Yeah, a couple months,
Couple
but
months,
yeah,
yes.
But
this year
I mean,
type of thing.
I don't remember them being part of the purchase on communications and technology, I was just wondering where they came from.
Fire station picked them up.
Right, that was part of, we did some shared expense with the fire station when we talked about communications technology, when we put the overhead, the screen, we talked about
Yeah.
upgrading sound.
This is the backup venue for the new performance center, so.
We have a noise ordinance here.
But at least we got the speakers in here already.
Lights and speakers are here at the backup
So the
center.
backup's ready to go. Okay, SBAA.
I wasn't at the SBAA board meeting, but I have been attending the Fall Fest meetings quite actively, and everything's going as planned. I'm still trying to encourage paying for banding, but they are moving forward with banding for the second year. They're just trying to figure out exactly how to effectively do it. There will be some merchandising this year for Fall Fest, the very first time. I think it's a pretty creative logo. It takes a while to get, but once you get it, it's really good.
Can you get it better after you had a few beers? Or is it-
Probably, actually, probably. Especially being that it's the 69th anniversary, and I'll leave it at that. And then outside of that, everything else is going.
I have a question about, where is it, hiring an outside security firm?
Correct.
Instead of the sheriff?
The sheriff's department has
No,
been-
in addition to,
Or
Okay.
using part and part.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the officers at the traffic intersections will still need to be there to coordinate things. In the past, the SBA is, Shane, it's about $9,000 is what stands out in my head. I'm sure I'm wrong about that.
No, that's,
That-
no, it wasn't, I apologize, it was about,
8?
yeah, it was about 9.
It was
about
8,000,
Between 8 and
yeah.
9.
Yeah.
For the sheriff's department to come up.
Because it puts guys into overtime and then ends up being very costly to have them up here.
So they've begun to look at a private firm that would have officers there to handle security.
And what they're waiting for now, and from what I understand, they're just, Pedro's supposed to get a call back this week about what the cost would be per hour for private security, and it has been encouraged by sheriffs. They said, if this is what you should do, we want to see it, call us, but this is what you should do. So she's trying to get reserves and private security, and she's hoping they come in at, a couple dollars less an hour, because that's a savings, so.
I had just heard somewhere that these private firms, if someone chooses, they ask for an ID, they can say no.
Well, they're not in the business of asking for ID nor law enforcement. They're
Okay.
there to ensure crowd safety, which
Yeah.
is essentially what the sheriff's department do. They are the ones that engage in law enforcement actions.
Okay,
And
You don't have
the
to ask first.
yeah, that's,
And the plan that it is that, the plan is that there will be a sheriff at each booth verifying IDs.
okay.
Sheriff at each booth.
The
There's
band,
there's gonna be
For the ID
multiple
bands.
areas for banding. Yeah, I think there's 2 areas for
Banding
banding,
booths, okay.
so.
I think you're talking
Okay.
about every beer tent, they'd have a sheriff in them.
no.
Why
Okay.
not charge for bands to help offset the cost of the sheriffs?
That's what I have encouraged, and I think that's what a lot of people have encouraged, but it has not gone over, so.
There's a real high
That is a-
resistance among, some of the members to not
Big.
charge. That they
Perhaps
nickel
that's
and
something
dime
that Parks should take a look at next year when they issue their festival permit.
Okay.
I think there's a very good chance that it will happen next year, just so you know.
Yeah, I think they're working on weakening some of the people that are strongly opposed. They get more on board.
There's some conflict of interest there, is what it
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
That's it.
to be blunt.
Teen Center,
Has not met.
Tourism Zone Commission.
has met the Bassmaster Tournament's coming up.
Yeah, they had discussion on that.
We hope.
One of the items that came up for discussion was referred back to legal counsel is the status of RV sites with improvements and marinas with hookups available. Do they meet the definition of a transient? For years, the RV parks have claimed the Visitor Bureau doesn't market for them. I think we've echoed the same sentiments around the marina, that there's not a specific set of marketing going on for that. As you all know, marketing takes money. And this potentially is a way to provide the funding mechanism for that. At the county meeting, the one last Thursday, Dave, we discussed around the table taking the maximum allowable tax rate, which I believe is 8% for transient occupancy, and increasing on a municipal by municipal basis that tax levy to the maximum allowable, so that the number coming back to the communities would be more substantial. They could use that for infrastructure improvement. The concern was that the tourists coming here don't necessarily pay for all of the infrastructure through the room tax that they pay. So there's a couple of ways to look at it. I'm just telling you what they're talking about.
Because it's 5%, correct, right
Yeah,
now?
5.5.
5.5, yeah.
5.5.
It's going to go up to 8%.
So I would imagine we'll hear about it at the next TCC.
Utility.
Minutes should be in the packet? No? No minutes in the packet? Didn't
We haven't met.
It's that quarterly thing.
Oh, yeah, right.
You read it, didn't you?
Not them.
That's why you skipped them, because they weren't there, right? I understand the utility came through pretty well unscathed as a result of the major deluges and downpours and flooding that we had.
What was out in front of on deck there or somewhere? There was somebody crawling down in that sewer hole there one day.
We've dealt with that quite a bit here. Essentially what, I guess I'll say my and Steve, and I think the rest of our utility department's opinion is different than the property owner's opinion, but we respect his difference of opinion. When Dorner was here, they put in a pipe, and the bottom of that pipe is sitting right where Mitch's lateral is for discharge. Well, when the stormwater system on our end gets flooded, Mitch contends that it's now backing up into his trough drain, which is right there before the discount store. What we think has happened is that he just couldn't keep up with the load as it comes off of Mission's parking lot down onto him, even though he's made improvements there. The drain system that he has in place is some kind of in-ground disbursement system, as I understand it. There's some system of coils underneath that building to put rainwater from his sidewalk drain underneath his building. So we've all kind of taken a crawl down in there and monkeyed around a bit. The solution may be a backflow preventer on Mitch's lateral. We're still working on that.
Administration and Compensation Oversight Committee.
Has met, continues to meet, making progress.
I would expect that probably sometime in November, maybe October, November, the recommendations will come forward. Waterfront Oversight.
Has not met.
Item number 12, discussion regarding matters to be placed on a future agenda referred to a committee official or employee. Anybody have anything?
I've got, bring Jack Moneypenny to give a brief presentation on tourism promotion and what that means for them. Update the bylaws to reflect a new marketing committee with 2 trustees, 1 SBA member, 1 citizen, and to initiate a staff level request of the county for recommendations or assistance on rescuing or preventing fall victims.
Anybody, anything else? If not, I believe a motion to adjourn would be in order.
So moved?
Wait.
Oh.
How about if we let our newest member Make the first motion.
A motion to adjourn, or am I seconding? Yes.
No, you're motioning
I
to
motion to
adjourn.
adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good.
Thank you, everyone.
If you guys could pull your calendars out.